How's it going, everyone? Thank you for joining. Quite often you hear me at the beginning of a spiel for this channel going through some devious dungeons. I think Mörk Borg or Mörk Borg is a really good example of a game that has devious dungeons. Foreboding forests, for example, those you'd find in Sweden and Norway and Finland. Those areas that are touched by Vikings. And the coolest cats. Today we've got some of the coolest cats right with us to talk about the new KINLESS Viking solo RPG adventure for Mörk Borg. So without further ado, let's bring on writer Logan.
Hey everyone.
Artist Liz. And God of many things, Chris Williams. Guys, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Liz,
thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for joining. I'm really excited about this. Let's not waste any time. What on earth is KINLESS?
Well, the short answer is, as you already described it, it's a solo Viking adventure designed to be compatible with Mörk Borg. It's a hex crawl. It's a little bit of survival horror. There's some roguelike elements kind of mixed in there. One of the questions we get asked a lot is it a choose your own adventure book? And it's not. It's definitely more of an RPG with some board game elements to it in terms of the resource tracking and kind of how things work. And we can dig more into how it all works.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest questions, I guess. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No.
But I mean, yeah, how does it work? I know you've gone into it in some detail in one of the updates for the Kickstarter campaign, which right now is on, still funding. I think you've got 5 or 6 days left. It's doing really well. But yeah, the conversations I've had, people say, well, it must be a choose your own adventure. Why would I get this and not just pick up a turn to page 5 or whatever book?
Yeah, I guess choose your own adventure usually kind of paints that image of a, read a paragraph, choose a couple of different selections, go to this page, flip a couple of things. So it's less that, it's more of, exploring an area, having random encounters, having random events happen to you, kind of searching out for different entities or things to fight, or trying to find different people to complete quests for. And kind of progressing through the area and the environment that way.
So is there an element of linear as well, or is it all random? Or I guess what I'm asking is there a story?
There is. I would definitely say there's an overarching story that is you are kind of free to choose how you, like, in what order you do things.
Right. But there is there are questions that you're trying to answer, and certainly I remember that one of the things that's described is you've been abandoned, or you kind of wake up in an area by yourself, right? And you've got to try and deal with that. Yeah,
it's definitely a lot of you are left out on your own, and then now you're fending for yourself, and more than just fending for yourself, you're also trying to figure out like what's going on in the greater scheme of things, as there are other machinations about.
So cool. How does it work in terms of the intended use? I mean, is this literally just for one person to play effectively by themselves, or do you envisage it also as a GM and a player? Can you do it both ways?
So one of the great things about it is that you really can play it either completely by yourself or with a GM and a solo player. And the way it works essentially is by virtue of it being a hex crawl, you've got a map. The map never changes. All the general areas. There's forest over here. There's mountains over here. You got lakes, and as you're progressing across the map, you're also looking for these major encounters, right? And so some of that is going to be driven by, you might meet an NPC who gives you a quest, or you might hear rumors of a great troll in the mountains, but you don't know where in the mountains he is. And the way we do it is we use a system of weighted tables. So the troll is always going to be in the mountain region, but that region is multiple hexes, and so you never know which one he's in. And as you're exploring those hexes, you're going to have a chance of running into the troll, but they're going to have a chance of what we refer to as a minor encounter. And so minor encounters are also randomized, but they vary per region. So you're going to have a different collection of minor encounters in the mountains than you would in the woods, although there'll be some overlap either way. Like some stuff is just everywhere. But as you're progressing through the mountains and you eventually run into the troll, and he's just this massive, incredible, huge encounter that you have to deal with. And of course, being Mörk Borg, there's going to be combat, and the combat resolves just like it does in Mörk Borg. So basic D20, it's a strength check, or if you're using a bow, it's your agility. And and then because it's Mörk Borg, the monsters don't roll to attack you. You roll a defense roll. So the player's doing all the rolling. And so the GM can kind of take some of that on, or they can just guide things. And the GM will have a little more control in terms of maybe the GM doesn't want everything to be completely random. Maybe the GM's like, okay, the troll's definitely going to be in this hex. And so that's where you get the automated AI versus the GM experience.
That's so cool.
And then one of the great things Mörk Borg has is this concept of being broken. So maybe you're not dead, but you're not well by any means. And so you've been taken out, you're laying in the snow, bleeding out. Well, the troll's probably going to lose interest, or he might take a couple extra whacks. I mean, you never really know what's going to happen, but at the end of the day,
you could also be eaten. You could potentially just be diced up and thrown to the pigs, but anything's possible.
Yeah. But that does require pigs, right?
So
that troll has to have pigs.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It sounds so much fun. I'm really excited. Before we move on to the next one, just a reminder, if you guys are really interested in this game, let us know in the comments. Please also like the video if you're enjoying what we're talking about. And one thing we're talking about there is actually, it's quite different from Mörk Borg, right? I mean, you open up Mörk Borg, it's grim dark. There's just skeletons everywhere, and every single page is basically telling you that you're screwed and you're going to die. I don't think there's any doubt that if you're lost in the wilderness in the northern forests, that you're probably screwed and you will probably die. But what we've seen of the campaign is actually a very different art style, right? Talk to me about that. How did you end up going in such a different direction, and what are your motives for that and your inspirations? Because it's a great departure from what people associate with Mörk Borg, but I love it. I think it's great.
Thank you. So when we were originally talking about this project, we really wanted KINLESS to stand out, first of all, among a lot of the other Mörk Borg competitors, I guess you could say. A lot of them use really bright drawing colors. They want kind of every page to kind of jump out at you and kind of almost attack you in a way. And then that's its own separate experience for Mörk Borg. For KINLESS, we really wanted to nail the beauty of the Nordic landscape. I wanted to bring the kind of energy that the landscape, not only as a kind of character and force that you're fighting against in the world, kind of to the forefront, but also kind of make things a little more realistic as far as what your character is experiencing in the moment. I was really inspired by like the romantic era paintings, not necessarily romance as, its own subgenre, but as far as kind of the landscape having its own life and breath, and really bringing in like the awe, the terror, the horror of the natural landscape into the artwork.
Sure. And that really, really shows. I feel really blessed that you shared some of the artwork and the development of the style here. I'd actually, if you don't mind, I'd really love to share the pictures of you building up the cover, because I actually think that's really interesting. So, and feel free to talk through these. We'll spend a couple of minutes here, because actually I think for anyone who's interested in art and digital art even, it's actually quite unique to have this overview, if you like, of how it's built up. So here's sort of a bit of a sketch in a way of the cover and what that represents. And then what we have from here is some digital inking that happens. So for example here, and then as we progress through, you can see these may not quite be in the right order, But I think it's really interesting to see how this all develops. And we end up with what's effectively the cover. And it looks stunning. And you're right, it's so different from Mörk Borg. What we can see there is it looks like you're going for a perfect binding for the soft cover. But in fact, the options that we have for the pledges are quite varied. So let's talk very quickly about that. We've got the KINLESS digital, which I know some people have made a leap to say that it's an app. Let's just say right now that it's not. It's this is how you could look at it on a phone. This is what it might look like. It's a PDF, guys. But there are some digital stretch goals which we could go into in a bit. So I have that graphic as well. We've got the soft cover, which is that beautiful vista, that art that we just saw. The hardcover, which I personally adore. It's kind of reminiscent in some ways of the hardcover for the D sanction. I don't know if you saw that, but obviously it's got that Viking feel to it. And then the box set, which we'll just call that the Phil edition, to be honest with you. Just got your hardcover book, comes with a PDF. I presume that's sent by email and not sitting as a floppy disk in the box.
we use drive-through for that.
Yeah. Dice, character sheets, a player map, and whatever stretch goals are unlocked. And there have been quite a few unlocked. This was taken yesterday, so I don't know if we've gotten further yet.
We have. I just updated it right before this call, actually.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
Right, screw it. Let's start again.
Scrap it. Going again.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have to go through all of this, but there are cards, there's encounters. We've got the KINLESS screen, the box set, obviously, we just mentioned. 2D minis, so they're going to be like standees, I guess.
Yeah.
The map as well, which is a cloth map, which I think is a wonderful move, to be honest with you. Even if you're not going to play the game for whatever reason and you just want it, having a cloth map that you can frame and put on a wall is just awesome.
Yeah, that's just the way to go with that, because there's nothing better to play on. Just like it feels nice, and then also if you don't play, like you said, frame it, put it on a wall, put it in a library.
So for Versen, I actually ordered the map pack, which comes with like a GM screen and stuff in Swedish, just so I could have the map with the Swedish place names on it. And that's actually, as you can see, it's up here. So I could just do that. There you go.
Perfect.
Oh, okay.
So it happens. They also did these huge cloth maps, and I'm talking like many feet, and they don't even fit on a tapestry hanger. So add-ons. Let's talk about those. They're a little bit harder to see, but we can roll through them. So you can add the PDF, the soft cover, the hard cover, the box set as additional purchases, and you've got those two stunning t-shirts as well. I have massive t-shirt envy right now, as I'm not wearing a KINLESS t-shirt, but that will be fixed. I have no doubt about that. And of course, the GM screen and the Mörk Borg or Mörk Borg rulebook. If you for some reason don't have that, you can see mine right there.
Yeah, if you look up in the top, his top cube, he's got like $4.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Is that one for each player? One for keeps and
Oh no, the ones for keeps are in the white box over here. I can't quite see
There's
it.
more.
I'm still really annoyed that when I backed Mörk Borg with the collector's edition, and then I cancelled it. That was one of my kind of biggest mistakes with cancelling a Kickstarter. I mean, this is a really successful game, right? So, Chris, I mean, this is, as far as Kickstarters has gone, this is like by far the most successful you've had so far. I think this is probably a trend of things to go. Did you expect this level of success? Were you expecting more?
I was hopeful, but yeah, I mean, this is, we're all really surprised, right? We felt like we had a really good concept and a really good idea, and And Logan's been super busy with the writing, and Liz has absolutely just knocked it out of the park art-wise. We actually we didn't even let her see a Mörk Borg book when we pitched her the idea. So
That's a really great idea.
we wanted to really see what she came up with before we showed her what everybody else has been doing. And I feel like she's just killed it for sure. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, when we were initially setting the first funding goal, it's like, man, I hope this isn't too high, and I hope this will, not scare people away. And it's just been nuts. I mean, it's been a fantastic experience for sure.
Yeah, I remember seeing it and thinking, well, that's really interesting. And I think I pretty much backed it when I saw it. But as more and more has come out, it's actually been very compelling, and it's a tricky one because obviously you don't have a video. You kind of mentioned that before, and in conversations, and also I think you've referred to it in the updates and stuff. You've made that decision that actually we're just going to focus on describing as much as we can without being misleading, without overly glamorizing the product. And I think that the success you've had kind of speaks to the whole concept, really. As with regards to that, I mean, what would you say is the most exciting part? Is it that the level that you've reached at? Is it did you get most excited when you were coming up with the idea? Was it getting Liz on board? Have any of you got?
There's a right answer to this question.
There really is.
So to be clear, I've worked with Liz on every single Kickstarter project I've done so far. She is an invaluable part of my team, as is Logan. And yeah, I couldn't imagine not working with either of them, right? We work really well together. We push ideas back and forth. There's not really any egos here. Everybody has some strong opinions, but it's been great. Like, I can't imagine working with anybody else.
Yeah,
for sure.
And actually talking about your previous projects, Explore Dungeons, for example, I've seen some of that stuff. You were very, very grateful in sending me some previews of those. And my God, you've got some interesting other projects and other products that you put out. We'll come back to that at the end if we have time. But
sure,
there's such diversity in everything that you've put out, and that's so cool. It doesn't really feel like you're kind of getting stuck in the mud just doing the same thing over and over again, even though there is a common thread that goes through them. Have you started thinking about what you're going to do next already, or are you actually still focusing very much on this? I can imagine there's always kind of creative things happening in the background.
We have a big whiteboard.
Yeah.
I was going to say no spoilers needed. I'm just really curious to know what's
investing in dry erase markers and a large whiteboard was very essential. And we're definitely the type of people who go, oh wait, hold on, I had another idea. What if we do this? And then we go on kind of a tangent and we have to break it down. We have a pretty good organization system in terms of like, hey, that's a really good idea. Let's make sure that we lock that. We at least get a rough idea out, and then we can put it on the board, and then we can tackle it at some point. So, we have endless ideas for things that either follow the same kind of format as KINLESS, maybe more like single player stuff like this, but then also endless zines and Explore Dungeons.
Endless
stuff.
zines.
Yeah. Like
Literally.
more Mörk Borg stuff, of course.
Yeah. I mean, Mörk Borg is we've got more Mörk Borg stuff on our channel than we have anything else in terms of actual plays, and that will likely continue. It's such a fun system to run. And it's fun as a player as well, especially with that whole deadly thing. You know that your character's probably going to die, but it's okay because you've brought a few more along just in case. It really feels like, I don't know if any of you have played Dungeon Crawl Classics, but it's a similar sort of deadly thing going on. You want to push it. Yeah, the funnel, exactly. So for anyone who doesn't know, when you start playing Dungeon Crawl Classics, you spin up like 4 or 5 characters randomly, and they're all villagers, and they can all do nothing really. I mean, they'll have a stick and a pig, and you basically all get pulled into an adventure to save the village or get the girl or one of these sorts of things. Pretty much the entire adventure is designed to kill 3/4 of the party. And the idea is at the end of that, whoever you've got that survived, if you're lucky enough to have one that survives, they're your level 1 character, and they can do slightly more than your average bear, but not by much. And that's how
only
it's
slightly, yeah.
The OG Darkest Dungeon. I mean, like
Pretty much.
That's another game I love, and I feel like will definitely influence a lot of our decision making and like
so cool.
brutality.
So what are you, and this is for each of you, what are you most proud of so far in terms of the project? Are there any little things that you've just gone, damn, that's really damn cool?
Who wants to start?
I nominate Chris to start.
So let's go in
That's a good
alphabetical
idea.
order then.
Yeah.
I guess my favorite thing is just the whole concept. I was bouncing this idea around for a while before I ever even mentioned it to Logan or Liz. And I was like, man, even before we decided on what system to use, it was the whole concept of like solo Viking survival horror. It just seemed like such a great niche to fill. And Logan came over and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? And he's like, oh shit, we could use Mörk Borg for that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. And so it's the whole collaborative effort and just how it's really grown has definitely been my favorite part. It's like having a kid grow up like right in front of me.
Yeah. And of course, Mörk Borg's license really supports that, because Johan Nord and Pelle Nilsson are very much just, hey, we made a thing, use it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
it really was like, it was the perfect system to grab and just be like, this, I couldn't think of using anything else. Using something like, I mean, I love D&D, but like that would just get, like it would become too cumbersome. Mörk Borg is pretty easy, cut and dry, and but still just brutal and just
Totally. I love the fact that with Mörk Borg you can basically, the book itself is obviously a work of art. Anyone who hasn't looked at it, provided you're okay with real macabre stuff, check it out. It's really cool.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. It is.
It's beautiful.
But I remember the first time I tried to think about playing it, and I had not read the book properly, and I was just going, what the hell am I reading here? How do I make a game out of this? Then you discover the inside back cover on which one page is actually the rules, and you go, okay, hang on a minute, the rest is just character creation and fluff. You actually can do it just with that back cover, which you can get for free on the website. But don't do that. Get the book. Get the book.
Yeah, get the book. Get the hardback. It's beautiful.
Don't get the PDF either. Not unless it comes free with the book.
Yeah, exactly.
You think you know what you've got by looking at the PDF, but it's not even vaguely representative of how gorgeous the book is. And I'm very confident that KINLESS is going to look that great as well, in a slightly different way. We've got some interior shots we'll pull up as well. Liz, what are you most proud of so far?
Oh gosh. So this entire art style is kind of out of my wheelhouse, to be honest, when I first started the project. I'm not sure if you looked around my website, but I don't typically do a lot of semi-realism, painterly style. I go for more of an Art Nouveau aesthetic. I do a lot of graphic design sketches and stuff. So I really had to practice and develop this specifically for this project. And I'm really happy with how everything's turning out. I didn't expect it to go this well, to be honest. Don't tell Chris. But but yeah, I'm really happy with how all the art and the major encounters are looking so far, and the response I've gotten for that.
It is gorgeous. And I mean, your website, we did put the link up, and that's also in the show notes. Really does showcase a very different style, and I had to do a double take to think, is this really Liz's website? And
surprise.
But no, that's really cool, and I think it's really important for everyone that's creative to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And that's something that I think, if you look at the Explore Dungeons scene, whilst it's very Mörk Borgy, this is not in any way similar to that in terms of style. The content maybe is similar, but the style is way different, and that really shows. And I think that's when creators make some of their best work, is when they're trying to do something different, and it might not please everyone, but the people who it does please are the target audience, right? So does it matter? Probably not.
Yeah, we got one question on the Kickstarter. Like, is there going to be a version of this that looks like Mörk Borg? And we're like, no.
Well,
Yeah, if you pay for your own artist, dude, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I
what
mean,
if you
this is Mörk Borg. I mean, like so it looks like it. So, you know, like it. I think it was definitely the right choice, art wise too, and I'm really proud that the terrible, terrible creations that I think up of in my head have been brought so easily to life, and like it's great because the painterly style really does lend itself to like realism, and you get to kind of see how horrific some of these things truly are. I think that's awesome.
I reckon if you just open the PDF in night mode, that would probably do it.
Yeah.
So whenever I try and do that, it just looks horrendous. So.
And it's great with Logan because he writes these amazing descriptions, and then he sends them to Liz, and Liz is like, I only have so many pixels to work with. There's no way in hell I can get all this in one painting. And
but I got to pare it down a little bit, but it's like, you know, the beats that I really want to get across, like that really lend itself to the narrative that I'm trying to build, she hits every time. So like that's something that's great, is that I think I'm proud of the fact that we can kind of all see where we're going with something and how to get there.
And Logan, what was your background? I know that with Chris we've got the Explore Dungeons zine and some of those other things. So I've
done a little bit of writing on some of the other zines, but like that's mostly it. I mostly just come in to do some writing, lifting, and then this is going to be the biggest project that I've taken on in a while, but I'm really excited for it.
It's awesome. And do you all role play?
Oh yeah, I do a lot. I have a D&D game later this afternoon.
Like I'm playing Forbidden Lands in like half an hour, so yeah,
I'm a cruel DM sometimes, but you know,
treat them mean.
Yeah. But it, you know, reward them as well. Like, and I think that's something to touch on in KINLESS, that you will be rewarded for your actions, but only to get kicked down again potentially. So
yeah, but it's like $90. You get a big box, some dice, and a book, and you know, that's
and some
reward,
pretty standees, and you know, nice cloth map.
I've been trying for months to get Logan to turn his campaign setting into a book. I keep working on him. It's some grim stuff. It would fit in really well.
That's what you need. We need them. I think if anything, from my experiences with 5th edition, and if anyone has, you know, kind of watched any of the shows we do, particularly the Friday night shows, I do talk quite a lot about how 5th edition or Dungeons and Dragons actually is not one of my favorite things. I mean, it's perfectly fine, and I've enjoyed every single game I've played, but it does always feel a little bit fluffy. You know, it's the underlying core of every game that I've played has been quite nice. So a little bit more kind of darkness in D&D, I think it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I definitely I understand that. I like the aspect of having very like kind of grim settings a lot of times, just because they can pack kind of a realistic punch. But I also do love the lightheartedness that can shine through on things, because Mörk Borg can also be very funny in a lot of ways. It can be, and like that's a brilliant way to keep things from just being so absolutely, like, you want things to be dire, but also you don't want people to be like, all right, I need a minute, I'm gonna put this down. Like, you know. I mean, if you know that some people would love that, but not everybody wants to necessarily have a traumatic event happen to them every time they play a game. You know,
I mean, they're just wrong, but yeah. My personal, I mean, we're hoping to run Cult Divinity Lost for October, so you know that's something that I'll be running hopefully, and even I'm a bit worried about that. So,
you got any seats open?
Huh?
You got any seats open for that?
Possibly. I'm not sure yet, but we're going to do more than one, I think. So, if not for that game, there will certainly be seats available in future games for sure.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's a bit scary for me. It's scary because I've not run Powered by the Apocalypse yet, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's October. But in terms of kind of grim dark stuff, you can't get much darker than Mörk Borg and Cult and that sort of thing. In terms of the campaign itself, there are supporters of this channel, the Dark Orb, in Europe. And one question that was asked is how you're going to deal with that. So in terms of the shipping, I think a few people have been stung by Drive-Thru RPG, for example, and the way that you get hit by your VAT on import when it lands in the country. Are you thinking about kind of EU-friendly shipping mechanisms?
So some of that is definitely still being worked out. We're using BackerKit for the pledge manager, and so they will collect the VAT for the various countries, and so that's something that'll get handled when you check out.
Okay, so that'll help. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're definitely looking at ways that we can handle fulfillment without just brutalizing people in the EU. America, over here, the shipping's pretty easy, right? But we definitely want to try to minimize the impact where we can for the other countries.
Yeah, and in terms of the actual product, you're not printing, for at least for the Kickstarter, you're not printing the physical stuff through Drive-Thru, are you? You're using Mixam, it looks like at the moment?
Right, we're using Mixam for the books. We have a couple of companies that we're working with for some of the box set components, and then everything's getting assembled here and then shipped out. So like Drive-Thru is doing the cards, but not the books. And so they'll ship those to us, and then those will get thrown in the packages with either the books or the box sets.
You have no idea how happy that makes me. Only because I've bought cards through Drive-Thru more than once, and obviously I'm in the UK, and Drive-Thru, although they'll print books through a place here in the UK, they don't print cards here. And interestingly, for our friends, for example, in Sweden, their Drive-Thru stuff also gets printed in the UK, and of course the UK is no longer in Europe. The consequence of that is that Drive-Thru stuff gets like charged for VAT as well, probably in more than once, knowing how some of these things work.
Sure.
So if someone backs for the box set, for example, all that stuff is going to get handled in one place, and then you're just shipping the box out, and then a proportion of that will probably be VAT exempt. You'll work that out, I guess. It's a box product, so it's all a little bit more complicated. But there won't be any surprises when it lands, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Oh, that's so cool. I do want to just have a look at some of that art, some of the interior shots that we have. So I have a couple of interior shots, and also the cards as well, which I think are really interesting. Liz and Logan, especially if you have any comments on these, that would be really great. First of all, let's have a look at some of the actual interior shots. So Krogoth the Gluttonous.
My baby boy.
I'm not going to say he looks like you, because I would quite like it if you don't hate on me, but
he's, I don't know, like
identical.
The cheeks, like the cheeks a little bit. No, he's and yeah, we've got some pigs, as I mentioned before. He's a very loving father, very he's a great pig tender, pig farmer.
So when we talk about you being thrown to the pigs, this is literally what could happen right here. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be nice.
I mean, I will say, like he was mentioning earlier, with the whole broken system, a large monster, if it beats you down and thinks that you're dead, more than likely it's gonna wander off. It's gonna go off. You're no longer worth messing with. But in some
hopefully you get broken.
Yeah, well, in certain scenarios though, you could be broken and that be the worst thing. That it may have been better to just been dead. So like things could be worse. Things can always be worse.
Totally. We had another layout here with the Varya, the wolves. I love how simple this illustration is. It absolutely captures a small pack of wolves running, but without being completely overkill. It's so cool. Talk to me about the tarot cards.
Oh boy. So these were kind of an idea we were tossing around to just help in like inventory management, help with a little bit of the randomization of events, because I know Mörk Borg has tons of tables already. So the deck would really just kind of serve to be an alternative to the table if you want to like shuffle those up and then just kind of draw instead of rolling.
I love it. I think it's really cool. And I think it's a really nice way of adding that randomness. And of course, if you want to stop something from occurring again, you could just take it out of the deck, I guess, or something like that. So there are so many ways that you can fuel that. And let's face it, you can use those in other games. You know, that's the other thing, you know, along with the map and everything else, you know, so as a GM, there's nothing stopping you from pulling things from other games and doing something really cool with them and still playing that game yourself, you know.
We definitely love the openness of Mörk Borg, like we've discussed earlier. So like you said, using those cards for other systems, 100%. Like you could totally, like, you know, one of the cards was a random companion, a boar that you could find, you know, whether you want to eat them, whether you want to have them as a friend, like it's up to you. But you could really all of the above, you know, whatever.
Friends get food.
Exactly.
And of course, like, and that extends to blessings, curses, certain cursed magical weapons, like that axe we had up there that, you know, bleeds consistently, just weird stuff like that, but you could really kind of use everywhere.
I mean, you say weird, but that sounds perfectly normal.
Yeah, the whole idea behind that is just something, you know, just a grisly, very powerful axe that maybe leaves a little bit of a trail behind, you know.
And that trail, of course, could be followed by, for example, a frost giant, right?
Anything, you know.
Oh my god, I really can't wait to see this image finished and looming.
What was the first kind of game comparison that we made in our head, Liz, when we were talking about this? I think it was like
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah,
definitely.
We're talking about that sort of scale.
Well, definitely just kind of giving off that vibe of like something that, you know, you look up and you're like, oh
no,
shoot, you know, this is going to be bad.
I don't know how you're dealing with this adventure, but now all I can think about is the idea of having an enemy so immense that you have to succeed in a climbing roll in order to even attempt to tackle it. I mean, my god.
I mean, there are things that are definitely bigger than him, like
other stuff.
Other stuff, mysteries,
other
secrets.
Well, hopefully we won't spoil it too much. I've got a couple of images of thumbnails as well, which have been used during your development, storyboards, if you like. For me, it's really interesting as a non-artist, seeing these storyboards and having an idea of how they're going to look from seeing how you layered up the cover art, imagining how these will look when you actually flesh them out literally and bring them into kind of the full depth. But we've got some really cool looking stuff here.
That dragon, I'm so excited to draw.
Oh yeah.
You mean you haven't done it yet? Shocking.
Hoot.
Chris, she's slacking.
I know. Every day.
And then we have this other one here as well. We can see here, this is obviously, you know, the cover that we looked at. Is this also being used, or was that another concept piece, the Shadow of the Ravens?
So these were all options for the original cover design. We ended up going with the top right one. We just felt like having like the enemy looming in the distance and seeing like more of that background really gave off the vibe that we wanted to go for the rest of KINLESS.
And I really love that. And we can see here again how that sort of turns out. And yeah, you can see right there at the back there, you've got the enemy with some kind of headdress on. And as you open it up and turn to the back, you can see in the top left here, I presume these are dragons, sort of seagulls or something.
Ravens.
And he's lost the shield.
So
we've got a spear. Sorry, what did you say?
So those are, like she said, those are two ravens.
Ravens, awesome. And then you've got the bloodied axe here and the spear in the chest. Oh, this is just so cool.
One thing you'll notice in all of the major encounters, the painterly art for all the big encounters, there will be ravens in every shot. Because
spoiler alert,
Odin is always watching, and
the
ravens are always there. It might take you a minute to find them, but they're always there somewhere.
So what we're actually playing is Where's Odin?
Yep.
Stretch goal.
No, there's a Where's Waldo book idea. Just
A gory Mörk Borg Where's
Yeah.
Waldo.
That'd be amazing. You heard it here first.
We need to
We're gonna
write that
discuss
down.
that in about a year.
Yeah, write that down. Copyright, quick.
I need my stamps. Where are they?
Where's Loki? Surprise! They're all
Where's
Loki. Yeah. Every page, every image, it's all Loki.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I will just very quickly. Let's have a quick look at the campaign page, just to kind of get an idea of what people will be looking at if they want to go to the Kickstarter. So let's just go all the way up to the top here. Funded in under 3 hours. We're at £35,000, nearly $50,000. So cool. 935 backers. So here's an idea of the box, and I looking at it, I'm not sure if that box is necessarily life size. Maybe.
Close, but not quite. It didn't quite fit in the zone I wanted it to.
Yeah, that's cool.
We don't talk about it.
First rule, right?
Yeah.
I loved this. The lyric from Amon Amarth: "I'm an outcast, all alone. I'm a nomad without home. I'm an outlaw. I'm disowned, and I'm no man's son." I just think that using that straight away, we get an idea of what you're aiming for. And I know this was inspired by Amon Amarth, and that's actually a really interesting kind of piece of trivia, if you like. But it also sets out, again, we're coming back to that, heavy metal, rock, Mörk Borg, dark, beating heart, if you like, even though the artwork doesn't reflect that. It doesn't need to, because things can be beautiful and still be deadly, and you've captured that really well. Let's have a look. So we're dealing with, I'm not going to attempt my Swedish here because I have people who'll kill me for doing it. But yes, we have dragons, undead, trolls, frost giants, vargs, wolves, all sorts of things. Mechanics we've spoken about, but it's a hex crawl. Obviously, we're going to have that map, and each hex is 6 miles, was it?
Yes.
Cool. We've looked at that page already. Pledge levels we've gone through: $15 for the digital, $35 for the soft cover, $55 for the hardcover, and $90 for the hardcover plus extra cool shit. We like this. You've done really well with the limited rewards. I've got to confess, I was tempted, but I knew I couldn't justify it. We're moving house as well very soon, so there is no expendable income in this household. But yeah, you those of you that have backed at these levels, man, I'm envious.
I'm looking forward to plotting all of your demise.
Yeah, people were very excited about, like, oh, how am I gonna die? Like,
I've already
knows?
planned a couple of them.
Yeah.
Look
It's
forward
where
to
everyone
it.
finds out that it's on the first page. There's like just a barn fire, and
Liz is just used to plotting death. I mean, that's
I
like, that's
am.
yeah. So this is just another thing she's great at.
this is really cool. Event cards added to all pledges. There we go.
We actually have one more unlisted goal. It's not a monetary goal, I know. But if we hit 1,000 backers, then we've
We're not
got.
far off that.
No, we're not. And if we hit 1,000 backers, then we've got something special planned for that as well.
We need to start building up hype for that, even if no one's going to know what it is.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
We had
Get to
1,000
1,000. Everyone, just back an
Spoilers.
extra once. Back for
Yeah.
$1. Then we've got the t-shirts and everything. As we said, fulfillment through drive-through for digital rewards. There's going to be, I presume, and as a presumption, that there might be some form of late pledge available through BackerKit.
Yes.
Do you know at this stage if you're planning to print over and have your Mixam printed physical books available?
Oh, yeah.
Or you are?
So the black cover is strictly a Kickstarter exclusive.
Okay.
And the plan is to do the art cover that matches the soft cover for the retail edition. And
Okay.
so But the box sets and the hardcovers for retail will feature the original art.
But you're going to retail. That's really cool. That's really, really cool to hear. And what with the world opening back up and we've got the conventions and things like that, yeah, if you can get the product out there, I think you're going to have a lot of success.
Do you have any of the character sheet art handy?
I have no idea.
It's in the artist update.
Yeah,
I have no idea. Hang on a
sure.
second. Let me see if I can find it.
While you're looking for that, Logan had this great idea about dealing with wounds.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so one of the biggest things that we wanted to do that kind of just popped into my head that I thought would be really fun would be on some of the character sheets, or I don't know if we decided having it being separate. We're going to have, of course, like a character outline just representing you, the character. And as you are injured, you know, you'll take normal hit points, like a numeric hit point value is always going to be there. But then you could also potentially take wounds or infections or like serious breaks or potential dismemberments or like missing of limbs, and you would mark those and scratch those out on your character sheet. And we're going to probably mail you like a big fat red crayon that you can that you can, like, you know, scratch it all out there. Just because I thought that was such a fun idea. And of course, you know, people who play role-playing games definitely attract creative people. You know, we want people to go wild with their character design. So if, you know, after people get their set, if they want to upload and update us with how everything looks after they've designed their character and all that's super exciting. But we definitely want to incorporate some sort of visual element where you can track your wounds, whether it's like an amputee or or like an infection of some sort.
We're not going to make people role play it, right?
Yeah, definitely helps some. And even in some senses, we could have something where like maybe you get tattooed and you want to like tattoo little runes on your guy, or like you take.
You're not going to include a tattoo gun?
No tattoo guns. Unfortunately, there's some laws around that. I didn't know. Got in trouble once, but.
No, we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
that's yeah. Yeah, I'm having a look. I don't unfortunately think I have that art.
I just sent it to you. The most recent version, by the way.
Ooh.
Updated.
Bear with me whilst I try and get this onto the screen. But this is super pretty, and
yeah, because we based it off of the initial Mörk Borg sheet, but then we added some KINLESS specific stuff, and of course some of the resource management elements.
Yeah.
And additionally, there will be multiple options for the character sheet. Not only will we have the 8.5 by 11 paper sheet that you can kind of print off by yourself, we will also have options for multiple half of that size sheets that will have like one that's each kind of column of this. So your wounds and your hunger tracking, then you have your inventory and equipment, and then your character and all your stats. So if you want to print out, you know, like a half sheet instead of a whole new sheet and fill everything else out, there are options for that. There will also be different silhouettes. There is going to be a masculine silhouette and a feminine silhouette, and then another character sheet that's just blank. So if any of you digital artists or traditional artists want to draw your own character silhouette in the character sheet, then you are more than welcome to do that.
That's really cool. I really like the look of this. One thing I would request that you consider, though, is that we don't print in 8.5 by 11 in the UK and in Europe. We have A4, which is a different
more
size.
options.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, if you just make a version that doesn't have the background dapple, then it won't matter. But if you do, then we end up with these kind of weird borders. Doesn't matter if the border's the same all the way around, but
the print at home version won't have any background texture just because that's more difficult to write on when people print that on their own personal printers. So.
I really love the style. I'm going to show that again. It's really fun. And you can, like, you know, draw in appropriate things on your character.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, the plan is to have some kind of gruesome graveyard for dead characters that we'll post somewhere so people can upload. Like, yeah, this is
I
what
want to
happened
see the
me.
wounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm totally imagining that the DCC stamps that we have for like dead and deceased are just gonna end up getting used.
Oh
a lot.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the idea of having like a like you said, like a graveyard or even like a battlefield, and you're scrolling through, and it's just all the fallen warriors and stuff, and all their designs and how they've been drawn out and everything.
It's gonna be so cool.
So back in the day, we had a retail game store, and so one of the walls in the back of the game store was just papered from floor to ceiling with dead PCs.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you ran a game in the shop, if one of your guys died, just put it up on the wall.
Amazing.
And right on big red like marker how you died, like TPK or fireball or lightning bolt trap or something like that.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I think probably now is a good time to wrap up. I mean, we've said so much. The product is awesome. I can't wait for it. Do we have any idea realistically what the lead time's looking like? I know we've put June 22, right? So a little bit of time. Basically, you're gearing for me to receive it around my birthday, which I appreciate very much. Thank you.
All part of the plan.
Yeah.
I expect mine to be gift wrapped. No, seriously though. I love it. I'm really appreciative that you all came on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So please, if you haven't already done so, check out the Kickstarter. The link is below. We have links for Chris and Liz's respective art, and we'll throw some stuff up for Logan if Logan so indulges us. I
don't have much to point to, but
we'll fix
He's
that.
a mystery.
We'll fix that, right? Next time you come on, we'll be pointing everyone to KINLESS, so it's all good.
You can get a really good idea of some of Logan's writing in one of the Aslan books that we published for the previous
That is
Kickstarter.
true. Yeah.
He wrote a fantastic story.
Okay,
I wrote
we'll make sure that's in the links.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that product. Sell it to me. Come on, go.
What was that? Aslan? There was which book was it?
Blood of the Merchant.
Blood of the Merchant. I wrote one of the short stories in there. So yeah, if they check out the Blood of the Merchant book, that's where they'll find some of my writing.
Awesome. I'm going to do exactly that. Hope everyone has enjoyed the stream. If you have, please like and subscribe and press all those other buttons and tell people. And please check out Explore Dungeons. Please check out Liz's website. Find everyone on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. We'll be back for those people who are watching the stream live, or anyway, we'll be back every Friday talking about Kickstarters and other crowdfunded things and cool stuff. We've got actual plays going on YouTube relatively regularly. But for now, thanks everyone. Thank you, Logan, Liz, and Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
4 days left. Go back it now. We need to get to 1,000.
Yes, hit 1,000, everybody. Thank you so much.
Please do.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone, and I hope all your dice rolls are way better than mine. Ciao, ciao.
See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.